Why, hello, hello. I'm glad I got your attention with that title. No, look, we all know that Grendel got a huge rework, and they did some buffs on a bunch of his abilities and all of that. So I'm gonna start off this video by saying that, like, yes, Grendel is in a way better state now, in general, than he was before. That is 100% true. What I'm also gonna say is that in terms of just sheer power, just in terms of sheer just game-breakingly strong Warframe, this rework was actually a nerf. Yeah. Grendel is in one regard weaker than he used to be. And I'm not even joking, not even a little bit. And the reason for that is because they put a cap on his number 1 ability. Because his number 1 ability is by far his strongest ability. Now they've put a cap on it so that you can only eat 5 enemies at the same time. So let's go and check that out, shall we? We'll just go over here and eat 5 enemies. Now, if you look in the bottom right, you'll see that their health is ticking down 2% of their health per second, which means that it's going to take 50 seconds to kill all of the enemies that are in his belly. You can speed this process up by eating one of them for your number 2 ability. Took off a chunk of the health of one of them. You can also just, like, spit them out. Alright? And that just killed it. That was one of the ones that had the least health. But here's the thing. This ability didn't used to have a cap. This ability had a... you could just eat all enemies you wanted to. You could eat up to like 40 enemies or so. Game breaking was because enemies that were in Grendel's gut were considered like just to no longer be on the map. For the purposes of, like, you know, spawning new enemies in survival missions, skipping to a new wave in defense. You can't do that anymore. That's weaker. And the damage was not 2% per second. The damage was a calculation that was based, partly based on enemy level, and also scaled with ability strength. It used to be that I could just go in and do this. Eat enemies, wait 1, 2, 3, 4, spit them out. And they would, like, all be dead. All of these guys, they would be dead. So, this ability no longer does the same amount of damage it did before, and it's capped at 5. This ability is way weaker. Way weaker, they're not even close anymore. And this used to be Grendel's best ability. Now, here is why this rework is still good. This used to be Grendel's only ability, for all intents and purposes. It used to be that Nourish, you had to rotate between 3 different buffs, and then you had to cast it 3 times and eat 3 enemies. That was super clunky. Now you just do this. You get all of the buffs at the same time, which is great. You get more energy regen. You get, nowadays, viral damage on its attacks. Used to be toxin damage. And I think it's like thorns, so like enemies. Did they rework that? Because it used to be that enemies who shot him took some damage back. I'm not sure it still has that. No. Yeah, it's just enemies who attack Grendel get viral procs. Now this one is a bit weird, thematically, because, like, it's supposed to be stomach acid, right? That's the whole deal. Why are you doing viral on enemies? It should be corrosive, shouldn't it? Right? Right? It should be corrosive damage if you're just spraying enemies with stomach acid. See, I think they just put viral damage in there because it's stronger. And they wanted to make Grendel better, so they put viral damage, even though it thematically doesn't really make sense. This guy doesn't do... He's not Saren. He doesn't fight by spreading disease. It's stomach acid. It's stomach acid. It should be corrosive. It's simple. But now his number 2 ability is good. Hey, now his number 3 ability, the rollerball, is good. if you have enemies in your gut, then this thing does not have an energy drain. That's great. You can steer it now. It's fascinating how easy it is to steer. You can double jump. You can still use the catapult to do launchy-launchies. Look at that. Ain't that great? So, that's fun. That's fun to use. It heals you now while you're using it as well. It's great. It works. And then you have Regurgitate, which used to be his worst ability. You just spit some gunk on an enemy, like a cluster of enemies. One of the guys in your stomach, you just spit him out. Bam, on them. It didn't really do a whole lot. Now, however, it does damage. And it armor strips. So, all in all, we're just gonna come on, there we go. Group enemies together. Now you can eat some enemies. Do this so you do viral damage on everything. 10 stacks of viral. It's so overkill. And now you can just like completely wipe the defenses of a bunch of enemies at the same time. Which is fantastic. And then you can just rollerball them and go bowling ball. That's fun. So now you have a situation where you actually want to use all of Grendel's abilities, all 4 of them. That is a huge improvement because Grendel used to be a 1 ability Warframe. You use his number 1 ability to eat a bunch of enemies and do game-breaking stuff and just wipe entire maps, and he could do damage numbers that like no one else could do. But that's all he had. The rest of his kit sucked. Now he has 4 abilities that are all good. They all work together. They all synergize to create a Warframe that plays well, that is funny. Hey, did I mention that nowadays you can use his abilities while you're in the rollerball? I can activate Nourish while in my rollerball. I can regurgitate in my rollerball. And when I need to eat more enemies, I can eat more enemies in my rollerball. Now this is fantastic because you can just play the game like this. You can just roll around the map. You can eat enemies. You can spit enemies. You can buff yourself. When you run out of enemies, you eat more enemies. And you do the spit. And you do the buff. And you do the bowling pins. Woo! Whee! Do more buffs. Eat more enemies. And by playing this way, you can pretty much play an entire mission without using your weapons. You'll just roll around, use all 4 abilities, have a grand old time. He's still a super tank, just like he was before. He has the best built-in shield gate in the entire game because he has a teeny tiny amount of shields. So you activate overshields all the time. He's basically just immortal. Now you heal yourself with your number 2. You heal yourself with your number 3. It's like, I don't even know how you're supposed to damage this guy. He's great, he's a tank. He uses all of his abilities. But at the end of the day, he's not as strong as he used to be. And I will take this. I have been a true proponent of Grendel for the longest time. I've been calling him the most underrated Warframe in the entire game. He still is. He still is, because he was good. He's still good. I'm not gonna say that overall he's stronger than he was before. I am gonna say that he's overall different from before. He's way more functional now. He plays better now. He's more fun to use now. He's easier to pilot now. All in all, huge pluses. He just can't break the game the way he used to be able to do. But I recommended Grendel before the rework. I absolutely recommend Grendel after the rework. He's super fun to play. Still one of my favorite Warframes that like no one else is playing. I hope play rates go up now. I hope people see like what a treat he is to play. But so yeah, that's my review. That is my opinion on this rework. Overall, he is better than he was before. He's not stronger than he was before, but strength and just raw power is not everything. He is a more well-designed Warframe today. He feels better to play. That goes a long way. So, thank you for listening to my little expose. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow for something completely different.